Trans women are not women. Okay. What's your name?
Sam.
Nice to meet you. Let's define our terms. A woman is an adult female with XX chromosomes. You tell me, what is a woman?
I think a woman is somebody who identifies as a woman.
Got it. So that's not a definition. That's like saying a table is something that identifies as a table. Give me an objective definition of
No,
how...
it's not. A table is an object.
Well,
A table can't identify as anything. It doesn't have choice.
You have to give me an objective definition of what a woman is.
If I decided right now that I wanted to identify as a woman, I would be a woman.
Okay, but that doesn't answer the question.
I know, but right now I'm a man, right? So if that happened right now, I would be a woman. So once a person makes the decision to identify as a woman,
got it. No,
they're a woman.
That's a separate issue. What is a woman?
That's the definition.
No, I know, but you have to tell me what...
A person who identifies themselves as a woman.
But you have how do you know that they are that thing?
How do I don't need to know what they are. I can ask them if I want to know.
But there needs to be, you need to tell me what that thing is, though.
Somebody who... Okay, sorry, we're not getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere.
Well, no, it's important because it's like saying a giraffe is a thing that looks like a giraffe, or a coyote is a thing that looks like a coyote. It's called circular reasoning. You have to give me a actual definition.
I don't have to... I did give you a definition.
No, you said that a woman is something that thinks they're a woman. That doesn't give me a definition. That's simply...
What would you consider a definition then?
An adult female with XX chromosomes.
No. I mean, like, what makes that a definition?
I don't necessarily think that you can define a woman just by her chromosomes. Women are so much more than that. They come in a variety of shapes, sizes, colors. And I don't necessarily think that you can count out somebody who's trans just because they don't have a certain set of chromosomes. There are also people who are born... I'm drawing a blank.
Okay. Intersex?
Yes.
So XXY or YYX?
Or just, or like sure. X0 with nothing.
So natural mutations upon the binary, essentially, right?
Yes. So,
but they don't have both sex organs that both operate, right?
Yeah, but that also I don't think necessarily works, right? Because if it's X,
one
just
is more
X,
dominant
and
than
there's
the other. So you're either more male or more female, right? So you might have both a penis and a vagina, but there's never been a case of someone who can impregnate themselves.
Okay. I also don't necessarily think that works for this situation, but I also want to say that one of my best friends is trans, and I would say that she's more of a woman than I am. I think that women define themselves by multiple things, not just their sex organs. If somebody asked me who I was as a woman, I would not say I have a vagina.
Totally fair. No, I think you said something smart. So you said that person is more of a woman than you are. Therefore, you're grading off a definition of something accomplishes womanhood. What is that?
I think well, that's the thing too. And I do think that gets a little complicated, right? Because there are social norms for a gender, but I do think we try to break that, right?
No, for sure. But you said that specific friend is more of a woman than you are. Why?
I think she's a better person than me. I think she lives life.
So women are better people?
She's a better woman than I am. I'm not saying women are better people.
But what makes a woman a woman? Because you said she's more of a woman than you are. So I want to know what that definition is.
Right. Okay. I'm going to let somebody else go.
That's all good. All right, Parker, what is a woman?
A woman is an adult human person that has a desire to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms that are typically associated with the female sex. Now, define a man. Define a man.
You're looking at one, XY chromosomes and a
Okay, but does God the Father have XY chromosomes prior to incarnation?
We literally have a religious topic
He's a father and he's him, but he's not a man?
We have a religious
Wait, so a man is someone with XY chromosomes, but he doesn't have XY chromosomes, yet he's still a man and he still uses preferred pronouns?
It's actually very interesting. In the original Hebrew, Adonai, do you know what Adonai is? It's the Hebrew word for God. It's actually genderless, but in the scriptures, they use he, right? And they use the masculine. Jesus Christ came to earth as a man, not as a woman, not as genderqueer. But let's go back to the...
But God the Father's a man, right? Because all fathers are men.
Well, first of all, there's a trinity. So God the Father is neither man nor woman. He is omniscient, omnipotent. He is all being on top of it.
So why do you use he?
Well, I did not. The scriptures do. You could use woman. You could say her. You could use him, but the way that the language is structured, again, it is so, God the Father is so above gender, it is so above any of our understanding.
Then why use him?
Glory and understanding. Again, because you have to make a choice, either he or him or her in the original scriptures. Let's go back to, I'm happy
some
to get into
fathers
that.
aren't men and boys?
So
some fathers are not men and boys, not men or boys.
I'm sorry.
Some fathers are not male.
No, of course they are. I'm not.
Wait, so God the Father's a male?
Hold on, God the Father. So where do we get God the Father from? What Greek word?
From your scripture.
Well, from Abba, right, which is a very close personal term.
You're not answering my questions, and you're bringing up random language that doesn't matter.
Well, it actually does.
No, it doesn't.
But let me get down to the root of it, because
he's not a man. You know he's not a man under your worldview. You still use his preferred pronouns. You still call him a man.
Christ is a
man.
man.
You don't do that with trans people because you're transphobic. That's why.
Okay, got it. But Christ is a man. I'm happy to get into the sexuality and
Before
gender
incarnation, he's not.
of the Trinity. Okay.
Before incarnation, there's no penis. There's no XY chromosomes. There's no small gametes.
Hold on a second. Let's think about it. If that's correct, how is it then Jacob saw the face of God?
Okay, so if there's
hold on. If there was not before the incarnation, how did Jacob see the face of God? How did Jacob wrestle with God?
Characters can have faces without biology.
How did Jacob wrestle with God?
So okay, do you think that he has a body?
Well,
or was that a figurative notion of wrestle?
That's a mystery of the scriptures. I'm not here. Well, it is. I'm not here to debate theology. Can we go back to what we're talking about?
Does he actually have biology? You keep trying to pivot because you know this debunks you.
Well,
what biology does your God have?
Well, the one of Christ our Lord.
No, I meant before incarnation.
Well, to be honest, I don't quite know, and I don't think the scriptures.
So you don't know what a man is?
Well,
you can't define what a man is?
It's a little opaque. Again, you're looking at a man.
But your video, the largest video on TikTok is, what is a woman, 20 million views, but you don't know what a man is in your own worldview?
I said you're looking at a man, right?
Wait, but God the Father doesn't meet that criteria.
Am I looking at a man?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. Just making
a man that's beating you in a debate right now.
Okay, that's fine. So let me ask you a question, though. So do you think that anybody can become a woman?
I think that anyone who meets my criteria is a woman.
What's your criteria again?
Again, adult human person that has a desire to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms that are typically associated with the female sex.
Can society ever be wrong?
Sure, but like it's a desire to be in accordance with a set of social and cultural norms.
Can I become black if I wear blackface?
No, because it's not a desire that you have to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms.
What if somebody wants to be black?
Because race is defined phenotypically based upon the expression to other people.
But by some standard, you're judging that.
Do you think there's a phenotypical expression of someone who's white and someone who's black? Like, I see you're white because of your phenotypical expression.
Right. So, but do you think, but Rachel Dolezal that said she is black and culturally black, is she black?
Does she have phenotypically characteristics we would associate
Define
with people
phenotypical. I'm not sure what that word means.
It's going to be the expression.
So
of
melanin
particular
content in one skin?
Yes.
Okay. So she could pass as a black person.
Wait, so she doesn't have the melanin content?
She's borderline.
No?
Heavily.
Okay, so then she's not black.
Okay, so you're able to say who is black and not black?
That's how we define it in society, no shit.
Okay, got it. So, but is there an objective definition of who is black?
Wait, language is all subjective. Linguistics professionals indicate it's subjective.
Language is all subjective?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Every
really?
word you just used was created by other human beings that are engaging in conversation.
No,
you might think it's created by God, but even then it's still subjective.
But now we're getting somewhere.
God's a subject.
Now we're getting somewhere. Is the word and the value behind murder objective or subjective?
Well, I think morality is subjective. But you think it's subjective too because it comes from God.
That's interesting.
Wait, does it come from God or independent of God?
Well, no, of course it comes from God. It's transcendent.
That's subjective. That's subjective. Yes, it is. No. If it comes from God, it's specifically subjective. If it comes independent of God, then it's objective. No, what you just told me is also compatible with moral anti-realism.
So let's go back to the Ten Commandments.
You don't understand metaethics.
Well, hold on a second.
What does subjective morality mean? What does it mean?
Subjective morality means that it comes in everybody's own opinion, their own form,
true
not
dependent
objective.
upon a stance.
Again,
God is a stance, and that's the truth of morality.
So if let's believe, do you believe in if everybody believed in the concept of God, the transcendent God, that there was a 10 commandments and we should live by them, right? Is that objective morality?
No. Just because people agree doesn't make it objective. Okay, then what, again, independent of a stance.
What is
agreeance is not independent of a stance.
What is objective morality then?
Do you want to talk about sex first, or do you want to talk about gender?
Well, I don't think gender exists. I think it's a term that John Money and Judith Butler created over the last 40 years that basically is a filler for personality.
Okay, well, if we're talking about sex, which it seems like you're saying is the exact same thing, would you say sex is binary by definition?
For sure, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you're already incorrect. Like, sex is not binary, it's bimodal. So if we look at a distribution graph, we're going to see people in two camps majority of the time, but there are going to be externalities on both ends of the spectrum and in the middle.
For example, like
so we already talked about intersex.
Right. However, with intersex, though, they are mutations of a binary, correct?
No, we're talking about.
Hold on, but we're
talking about an entire spectrum.
Which sex
you're by definition
dominant,
defeating your expression of what a binary is by saying that there are externalities.
But let me ask you a question. That like XXY.
Charlie, for example, you're trying to create this own box and then use any examples that are outside of that box
you brought up
to justify that box again.
You brought up intersex.
We're talking about reality.
You brought up intersex.
Okay.
What sex organs, which one is more dominant?
What do you mean?
In an XXY situation.
Can you explain your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have more female characteristics and male characteristics in an XXY, or it might be YYX, one of the two. The point is that you do not have both.
We could see people with female reproductive organs that have XY, and we can see the vice versa, people with male reproductive organs that have XX.
So I think you said something about gender, though. I think that's more interesting to get into.
Okay.
Do you understand how the conversation...
So we're moving off of sex because you're ceding that argument.
No, I'm not ceding it. Okay. You want to keep going into it?
We can, if you'd like.
Okay, so besides male and female, what categories exist?
we have people that are intersex. We have people that are on the other ends of the bimodal distribution graph. Are you aware what bimodal means versus binary?
Somewhat of an understanding.
Yeah. Okay, well, so you can be presented with a graph after this by the people that you brought with you. But it's actually a bimodal distribution.
Just like constantly going to condescending type talk is not going to be fruitful.
I'm just trying to match your energy with the people that you treated that were trying to have a conversation.
Got it. So trans women are not women. Do you agree with that?
I would say that trans women are women because people that exist under the category of women, people that exist under the category of men are still humans.
Got it. So that category, how is that defined?
Well, I wouldn't limit it to things like genitals or things like chromosomes, which seems like you want to do. What type of genitals would you say I have since you're so obsessed with genitals?
I'm not obsessed with genitals, but I could do a blood sampling right now and I could see exactly what you are because every single one of your trillions of cells are either coded with XX or XY, no matter how much surgery or whatever. I think that you are man, but you could fool me. You could take hormones. You could play camouflage. Like I could fool you to be Hispanic if I had the right Hollywood makeup director. That doesn't mean that you are the thing though.
But you're going from an objective biological perspective, which we've already talked about with sex. I'm talking about a social construct or a social utility.
Yeah. So
like if we were at a restaurant, right? I'm sitting down you're a man. And I'm sitting down at the table and you're telling the waiter, hey, I want to go sit with blank. What would you use?
With you?
He doesn't know my name. Yeah. Well, so I'm sitting over there.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
That guy. You're going to typically use he or him, or you're going to say that guy, like you just said.
Correct.
Because you're ascribing the male gender to me based on my performative characteristics.
I say I could be an error. Maybe you are a biological woman.
And then you'd correct yourself, right?
That take maybe not.
So that's what that is exactly what we're trying to say.
So the question is that do you think that womanhood can then be assumed just through costume design?
It's not costume design.
What is it then?
It's performative social characteristics.
So you could act
that's what gender is.
Okay, great, got it. So you could it's like a theater troupe.
It's not a theater troupe. These are social.
So womanhood can be appropriated.
No, they're categories. That's what it is.
So there's nothing inherent about the chromosomes. There's nothing that...
Correct. Yes.
Wow, we disagree. So there's nothing inherent about having a period or being able to give birth or the specific hormonal makeup.
In different cultures, we've ascribed that to womanhood. If you go back to other cultures spanning thousands of years, you'll see a difference when it comes to those types
like, for example, the Mayans had plenty of people that were schizophrenic, right? So that means nothing to me, right?
Okay, so we have people that say they're hearing things from God. Would you say that's schizophrenic?
Well, not necessarily. It built Western civilization and common law and due process and individual rights.
I just wanted to hear that
defense of the unborn and the greatest civilization ever. You know, that voice from God happened to build the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world. That's fine.
I think the Mayans would say the same thing. That's the problem with presuppositional arguments.
Yeah, let's go down.
Is that you could say anything.
Can we go visit?
I mean, God's telling me right now that you're a fish. Do you think that's real?
Can we go visit the Mayan nation? They didn't last that long, did they?
Yeah, over killing and violence, and you can justify that if you like.
You mean all the child sacrifice?
And this is the condescending tone that why I'm trying to match it is because
you mean all the child sacrifice the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incans did on the top of temples? Great civilization.
Do you want to go back into the Old Testament? Let's bring Parker up in here and talk about all the child marriage, and we can talk about the justification of rape.
Where was child sacrifice ever in the Bible?
When Isaac was almost fucking sacrificed by his dad.
He wasn't though, because at the beginning of Genesis,
so God just said like, nah, just kidding, dog. Don't actually kill your son.
Because at the beginning of Genesis 16 said, I'm going to test
to prove obedience. Yes,
yeah, that's right. So now you know it. So actually, there was no child sacrifice in the Bible. It was a prohibition on child sacrifice in the Bible. But anyway, that's a little bit of a rabbit hole. Do you understand at least? Can you sympathize with our perspective?
Okay.
That.
I'll calm it down a little bit. I apologize for the condescension.
No, it's fine. I mean, but you're doing it's fine. But like, did you see where this could get wildly out of control? At least on the extreme.
I don't see how it would get out of control because
even in sports, for example, you think that there's no.
So this is something that we might be able to agree upon, right? Sports were not archaeologically dug up, right? The rules of sports, they are things that we've created as a society. We have decided as a society the most fair categorization is male sports and female sports. Now, as we've been able to understand or at least bring into the forefront people who don't identify with the binary, we still have to allow all people that are women in the women's category and all men that are men in the women's category. That includes cis and trans. If you'd like to change that category because you think it's unfair, we can do that. That's what's awesome about arbitrary rules is we can decide hormones.
I might not know this, but like when the Greeks started the Olympics 2,000 years ago, did they have like a bunch of dudes wrestling with women?
I don't even think they allowed women to compete.
Well,
I might be wrong on that,
but that kind of proves the point, though, that there was a...
Yeah, and what did we do to allow women? We changed the rules.
Right, no, but that, by definition, therefore, there is something from body composition, bone mass, lung density, testosterone, and estrogen rates. So endocrinology is different.
So if you'd say the majority of males in the bimodal distribution graph, we're going back to that, you can say, hey, we want this level of hormones in this particular category, and we can separate it by hormones. I agree with you that a majority of men or majority of cis men are...
You got to be like 99.9%.
I don't know. Ronda Rousey could kick my ass. I will say that.
No, for sure. But I mean, but could she kick Conor McGregor's ass?
Well, now we're talking about the peaks, right?
But she's at the peak of
cisgender.
No, because you're talking about the peaks of two different categories in the same sort of...
Right, because why? She's a cis woman.
she's a cis woman and
he's a cis man.
But yes, and he could kick her tail, right?
Yes, I would agree.
Oh, okay, for sure, right?
Because cis men and cis women have different hormone levels. If you want to change the hormones, we can change the categorization. But you're saying that you want men and women